Happy New Year, folks. I am so glad you're here. I am Amber Wright with AutoLeap. I have the pleasure of managing all of our events and our industry partnerships. And part of my job is to host AutoLeap webinars. The point of AutoLeap webinars are to continue to provide thought leadership in the industry by bringing in different experts, their opinions, and their guidance on how to best run your businesses. So by the looks of it, we've had the highest registration to date. So kudos to Cecil and Kent. Thank you for letting me reach that mark today. But it sounds like, or it looks like, or I'm assuming that a lot of you guys have made a conscious effort in the new year to grow your business or set some standards that you haven't set before and kind of take a refresh of your businesses and look into it of how can we do better in the subsets of business, whether that's from hiring or how you do your sales process and all of the other things that help you to be successful. So I'm going to take a quick second and just do housekeeping. We do record today's session. You are not able to chime in, unfortunately, because we have such a high number of you guys on the phone. We keep that at bay, but you do have access to the chat and Q&A function. Kent is here along with myself and some other AutoLeap representatives that will help kind of comb through the questions, and where possible, we will fit them in and pose them to Kent and Cecil during the session. If not, we do have a section at the end where we've dedicated a Q&A section. So please make sure that you ask those questions. We want to make sure that this remains engaging for you and that you get what you need out of it. These are for you, so please do not hesitate to ask. There is no dumb question. All that to say, we will run some polls to help engagement. Please do interact with them. It helps guide our conversation. We also have a survey at the end of the session. So when I close out, it will pop up. Please do give us feedback that comes to speakers, topics, everything in between. We build our calendar for you and because of what you guys are requesting. So make sure to tell us how we're doing and what we can do next. So all of that, I'm going to introduce our experts. Some of you might know them. We have Cecil, who is the CEO of the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. Just a little background, Cecil specializes in business systems and processes. He works with business owners, managers, and service advisors to learn what they need to become successful in the auto repair industry and maintain a level of success. Kent here, if you want to give a little wave, is the CEO or COO. I almost just gave that title away. Sorry, Kent. Cecil.
I'll take it.
Has devoted a decade within the automotive industry with helping shops succeed. His focus has been in operations, processes, and time management. He believes businesses should inspire fulfilling and meaningful lives. He's a millennial or minimalist, which I actually, now that I'm reading this, did not know that about you, and I love that. A family man, a speaker, and a musician. So I'm very excited to have you. As always, you guys are such great partners of AutoLeap, and we appreciate everything you're doing in the industry. So I'm going to pass it over to you and let you guys give a little introduction and get headed on the best advice for running a successful business.
Awesome. Thank you, Amber, for that wonderful introduction. I'll speak briefly. Hello, I'm Kent. At the Institute, we really are trying to improve the industry in as many ways as possible. And doing these webinars and having platforms like Amber's where we can come and share content is just a blessing. This is what we do. This is why we exist. This is why we get up in the morning. Our business mission has always been a better business, a better life, and a better industry. We know that if we can improve your business, it ultimately affects your life. It affects your livelihood. It provides opportunity for you to find more meaning and purpose. And when you are beyond a point of survival and you have success happening, then you can start to give back to the industry. And so we try to lift the industry one shop at a time. It's a little bit about our mission, and very excited to share some good advice for the beginning of the year. I think it's prime for it. We're here for it and ready to get into it.
Let's go. First of all, thank you so much, Amber and AutoLeap, for giving us this platform. There's a QR code you'll notice on the title slide here. That would give you the slide set. There's also a calculator we're going to use. You have the access for that. And then there's some other stuff for that we'll talk about later. You'll be able to see that at the end and in the middle also. But if you want to follow the slide set, that use that QR code. We got a lot to do. I'm going to go really fast. There's some math here. Just going to, move it through the best we can. So the first thing is, if we want to be successful, and we kind of have to understand why businesses fail. And from my perspective, having done this for a very long time and having worked with probably now over 1,200 businesses in the automotive industry, I think there are some reasons that they fail. Number one, they don't understand the real cost of doing business, and so they don't price themselves properly. And we have a lot of businesses where the owners and or the salespeople are emotionally invested in the cost, and they do emotional discounting, so they don't hold margin. We're going to talk about why margin is important and in a moment. Another reason I think is that you don't have goals. Once you understand your business as a financial model, then you can say to yourself, we have this many technicians, this is our labor rate, we should be doing this. And it gives you a focus and a win. It gives you a finish line for the year, for the month, for the week, even for the day. And I think that's not only positive because it brings more money into your business, but I think it's positive for your employees because they know when they win, and we create those wins for them. A lot of shops have not decided who they want to work with, and they believe that they need to work with anyone or everyone that walks in the business. A lot of shops are working with the wrong client. And because they haven't focused their marketing, their branding on the kind of clients that will help them be successful. In fact, there's on the ASOG, what is that? Not a podcast. The ASOG, the group, the online
Automotive Shop Owners Group.
Yeah, it's on Facebook. There's a lot of conversation right now. Someone asked the question. And there's a lot of conversation about working with the right clients. So there's some great content there. I think the other thing would be we have inefficient or unproductive staff. It's not that they're bad. It's not like our technicians are lazy or our service advisors are lazy. They're usually inefficient and unproductive because of inefficient processes. It's usually the fault of the business. And it goes back to kind of that management. If you're constantly looking at your business and saying, well, we should do this, and we're not doing 1.3 million. We're not on target for that. Why is that happening? It often points back to processes that are inefficient. I think, in fact, we're going to do another one of these about processes, down the road, because we don't just have time today to really cover that well. And then I think there's the other thing I've noticed is that there's kind of a fear. If I raise my price, my customers are going to leave me. If I hold my staff accountable, they're going to leave me. If I try to make changes in my business, the business climate is such that I can't do that. I'm really afraid, in a way, of what's going to happen if I make the changes that I think I might need to make, or that a consultant is asking me to make. Amber and Ken, I'm going to have you guys keep an eye on the chat. We got a lot going on there, it looks like. And if there are questions, let's bring them up. I'm okay with that. All right, so let's get into, unfortunately, some of the math. You need to understand your business as a financial model or a machine. You have a vehicle, and a vehicle that is running correctly, where the pistons are and the valves are opening at the right time. It's got the right air fuel mixture, the right weight to torque ratio. It's going to perform better in terms of automotive language. Your shop is a machine, and if you understand it as a financial model, and you price yourself correctly and you build value for your clients and give them great service, then you're going to be very successful. So you need to understand that the only way that you make money in the automotive industry is by buying parts from Napa, CarQuest, whomever, and then you mark them up and you sell them to your clients. If you allow clients to bring their own parts, or if you don't mark them up enough, then you don't have enough money left over to pay the bills and have a profit, or the profit that you want. You also sell labor. So you buy labor from your technician and you pay them $28 an hour plus, FICA and FUTA workers comp, what we call the load, paid vacation, etc. And then you mark that up and you sell it to your customers. Many shops, number one, they don't understand what their cost is for labor, because productivity matters. If you have an hourly tech or a salaried tech, and they're coming in and they're not giving you 8 hours to bill out every day, then your cost of labor is going up, and we'll talk about that as we go. And so your above the line cost, your cost of doing business or variable expenses are your tech labor loaded and your parts cost. And then you have below the line costs, which are your fixed expenses. And I know that most of you probably really do understand this, but what I find often is that tech labor is not included above the line, and it's not loaded, which is not necessarily the end of the world. But the other thing is the owner's salary is part of your fixed expenses if you're working in the business. So if I'm writing service in my business, part of my pay goes there. If I am a technician in my business, part of my pay goes there. If I'm a manager in my business, my pay goes there, and that's a fixed expense. And then I also make a profit, which is my net, and that is actually paid to me based on the risk that I take. So we have marketing costs, sales costs, rent, utilities, vehicle expense, insurances, gasoline, just literally anything that it takes to run your business is in the fixed expense category. And I think I love these next two slides, because for me, they kind of point out where many businesses go wrong. So we have a business here that's got 3 technicians. They've got about $120 an hour as an effective labor rate. In other words, when someone buys labor from them, on average, they pay $120. And their parts to labor ratio, they sell about 55% of what they sell is labor, and about 45% is parts. And so with that math, we know that with 3 techs, if they were 100% productive, 8 hours a day, we could do $1 million to 4. So if we follow a parts matrix religiously, and we're not going to get deep into a parts matrix, but if you need one or want one, you can access it through us. And one of the cool things about AutoLeap is you can set that matrix up in AutoLeap, and then it's going to automatically use that. So you don't have to be emotional about the parts price. It's just the price that it needs to be based on the formula. So if you follow a parts matrix, then your cost of sales is going to be about 18%. So if you do $1 million in business, we'll round it down. But if you do $1 million, you're going to spend about $180,000 a year on parts. And that's going to give you a margin of about 58%. So you're going to end up with 58 cents on every dollar from your parts after you pay for the parts. Okay. And then your labor cost is a loaded cost. That includes FICA and FUTA and workers' comp and paid vacations, holidays, sick days, meals, education, whatever you do for your tax. And that should be about 20% of your sales. So again, if we go back to $1 million in sales, I have $200,000 to pay technicians. So I don't necessarily want to have 4 techs doing $1 million, because now I have 4 techs making 50,000 or less, because they're not going to keep all 50. The IRS and the state are going to take some of that. This is if I'm going to do $1 million in business, if I have 200,000, 3 techs are now making whatever that is, 67,000. Or if I have 2 techs, they're making 100,000. I'd rather run a really efficient business and have 2 techs making 100,000 there. And it is possible because I've done it myself, and a lot of our shops do that, which is going to give me a 64% margin. And so my cost of producing an hour of parts and labor is 38%, and my gross profit is 62%. So after I pay for my parts and I pay for my labor, I still have 62 cents out of every dollar left over. And now I'm going to pay my fixed expenses. And if you work with a coach or a consultant, they're going to break this up into multiple categories. But for today's purposes, we're going to do 3. I'm going to pay my sales costs, my service advisor, whoever's selling the work, 8 to 10%. I'm going to pay my marketing. I need to have marketing today. I need to have a marketing plan. I need to have a website, a search engine optimization, etc. And I'm going to pay 6 to 9% of my sales to that. And then the rest, about 25%, is going to go to my fixed expenses, which includes my salary, which is going to leave me about 20% in the pile. So again, if I do $1.2 million for now, at the end of the day, I get about $248,000 left over after I paid all the bills. I haven't paid taxes yet, but I've paid everything else. Okay. And so the reason I do this particular slide set and go through this is to get you to the next slide. This is a very balanced, perfectly balanced business. And frankly, we don't often see this. Even after working with clients, parts expense might be 19% or 20%, and labor expense might be 60, margins might be 68 because labor expense might be 18%. So, your business, as long as you're really close and you still have that 20% net, we're in great shape. Even if you end up with, say, 18% net, you're still in great shape. We just don't want to be like the whole industry, which is about 3 to 4%. So now I'm going to show you where it goes wrong. And this is an unbalanced business. This is the same business, basically, but we have an extra technician. And so because we have an extra technician, we also have an extra service advisor. And we probably have, our process is probably not as good. We probably have a lower average repair order. So this is a business that does not follow a parts matrix. And so they're emotional. They talking to a guy last night. He had lug nuts. He said, well, I can't mark lug nuts up to that. And I said, well, how many people have ever questioned about what lug nuts cost? And after talking to him for a while, he was like, Cecil, that's right. In my whole life, talking to, thousands of shop owners and service advisors, I've never had somebody go, I can't mark up lug nuts. I don't know. It's like, boom. But we all have these different little things that we do where we go, wow, that's really expensive. And so I like the idea that I have a piece of software that I can put the matrix in. I can tell my employees, look, follow the matrix, and I don't have to be emotional about it. I don't want them to be emotional about it. The grocery store, I just bought eggs night before last, about a dozen eggs. It was over $8. And I guarantee you, nobody in the grocery store was emotional about charging me $8 for eggs because the cost of eggs has gone up and they have to make their profit. And we need to be better at that. So if my margin is lower, then I didn't charge quite as much. And so my cost goes up as a percentage of that sale. So now I have 26% parts cost. And, my labor is not efficient. In other words, now I have technicians who are not doing 8 hours a day because we don't have the systems, the processes to help them be efficient, or even pricing, frankly, sometimes. And so my technician margin is down because my cost is up because they're not productive. Not necessarily I'm not charging the right price or anything. They're just only producing 6 hours a day instead of 8, but I'm paying them for 8. So my cost goes up as a percentage, and now I have a cost of goods of 51%. I've lost 13% of my profit already. And so as we go, I have a 49% gross profit instead of 62%. So there's 13 cents less on every dollar left to pay the rest of the bills. My sales cost has gone up as a percentage because when I have 3 guys, I can have maybe 1 service advisor, but when I have 4, I got to have some kind of an assistant or help there where they won't be efficient, right? So I hired another person and my cost went up as a percentage of my sales. Sales did not change. My marketing expense goes down here, but only because I don't have the money or the profit to spend on marketing. So now I'm not bringing in the better customer. I'm bringing in the bottom feeder because I'm not marketing. I'm not building my market share. And then my fixed expenses have gone up because, like it or not, whenever I hire somebody, I got to get another computer. I need another parking space. We need more, another phone, et cetera, et cetera. And now my net profit is 3%. What I really want you to take away from this is if you get it right on the right side here and you do everything correctly within a point or two, then you're going to make money at the end of the day. If you don't on the left side here, then you're going to struggle. Okay, so now we have a business that is, we have two different businesses, and I'm going to go through this really quick. Differences in posted labor rate by $20. Effective labor rate, they're better at charging for things that they need to. And I was talking to a guy 3 nights ago. He was talked to a customer. He gave him 3 diagnostics. It was going to take him up to 3 hours, probably at least 2, for $79. And we got done. I said, "Why did you do that?" And so his effective labor rate was lower. And so he's running Bill's Auto instead of Ryan's High Tech. Their fixed expenses are exactly the same, but their hour is worth less because their margins aren't good. Okay, their effective labor rate is not good. Weekly car count. At Bill's, we got 58 cars. At Ryan's, we got 35, less cars. But at Ryan's, we have a higher average repair order because we do better inspections. We have a digital vehicle inspection. We have a better salesperson that can build value for our clients. Weekly sales is higher at Ryan's, even though he only has 2 techs. And Bill is his own service advisor because he can't afford one. And that's how he gets paid. And yet Ryan has a service advisor that he pays for. The tech cost, at Bill's, we pay our techs less, $28 an hour. There's no bonuses, no nothing. Over at Ryan's, with the bonus and everything, we're paying these guys $33 an hour and bonuses. And so at Ryan's, because we have more process, because we pay more, we have better people, we actually get more productivity. We get 88 hours a week out of 2 guys. And over at Bill's, we get 84. Now that screws up our margins. And when you look at the overall gross profit, we have 55% at Ryan's and 42.7%, almost 43% at Bill's. And what that leads to is lower pay for everybody. Believe it or not, at Ryan's place, he makes more money. The techs make more money. The service advisors make more money. And he is going to make about $213,000 a year in profit. And over at Bill's place, they're going to work just as hard, if not harder than Ryan does. And they're going to make $18,000 for the year. And so they're going to make, everyone in that business makes less money. And when you're making a lot less, I don't think that you can give your customers 100%. And so at Ryan's, they're happier. The customers experience that. At Bill's, not so much. So I think here's where we have a poll. And, which shop do you want to be? And we'd love for you to interact with that. And I think there's a second part to that. And that is, when you think about it, are you more likely on the Bill's side, or are you more likely on the Ryan side? Okay.
It's funny when you're looking at the numbers from the previous slide versus and this slide as well. The shops that we see that are more like Bill's, that have a much lower margin on things, especially in their marketing, they get into almost this desperate state where they'll take any cars that come in. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes that continues to exacerbate the issues they're currently dealing with. They're going to do discount advertising to bring in discount customers who aren't going to pay any kind of profitable revenue to the business. They're going to do just an oil change and get on with it. They're not going to buy into additional services that you need to do as a shop. There's some real likely need to be done on the vehicle to take care of the customer.
Yeah, there's some real great data on scarcity thinking versus abundance thinking. And I think at Bill's, we're thinking about scarcity, so we're going to take stuff in that we maybe shouldn't, or that we wouldn't if we had abundance.
We have a question from Sebastian here. Is it only the $20 hour rate that makes the difference?
No, because the effective labor rate is higher. So, and if you look at even how the technicians are paid, the margins are better on the higher paid technician because they're productive. So labor rate's a very small piece of that. What we're talking about here is that there are 6 or 7 things that make up this. So it's not overly complicated. If your labor rate's high enough, so if you raise your labor rate $20 an hour, it's going to make you some money. But if you don't deliver good productivity, if you don't have the processes in your business to deliver productivity, that's going to cost you money. Your effective labor rate, you may not be, you could have $180 labor rate. I've been in shops where they had $140 labor rate, but their effective labor rate was 83 because there was too many comebacks. There was too many discounted items that were going out. Low average repair order. You're going to do a lot of oil changes where the margins are low. The more coolant flushes you sell. Obviously if the car doesn't need it, we're not going to sell it. But if it needs it, we should be selling it. The more water pumps you do, those have higher margin. Those will bring margin up. So it's not just about labor rate.
We have a lot of questions coming in.
Yeah, I think we need to spend a little bit more time right here. So we talked about the hour rate. Sky said parts margin is big, productive hour is key, charging for what you do. Can you explain effective labor rate more in depth?
Yes, in the next slide. Okay. In the next slide.
In the next slide, we'll cover it. Okay.
So we're going to get there. At least I think it's the next slide. And so, there are multiple changes here. And what I really want from this slide is I want you to realize it's not one thing. There are probably 7 or 8 things that a good coach or consultant are gonna hone in on and say, okay, if we make this little change, that's going to get us another, $100 a week. And if we do this change, there's another 150. And if we do this one, there's another 300. So pretty soon we're at $1,000 or $2,000 a week in profit through small changes, not huge. Okay. So we are getting into effective labor rate. I guarantee you here. So I can afford to pay up to 40% of my effective labor rate. And I think, we did a webinar on this previously. So I know it's in I know AutoLeap has it in their library. You can get to it. Effective labor rate is the combination of all labor rates that you have. So whether you like it or not, you have different labor rates in a shop. We have for 100 years, as long as I've been in the business. When we did oil changes, we charge less. When we do diagnostics, a lot of my shops have a higher charge today. When we do comeback work, we charge nothing. So our labor rate is 0. And so if you look at this, I've got 22 hours at my normal rate of 120. That equals $2,640. Then I have 10 oil changes. I pay my technician 5/10 for each oil change, and I'm $80 an hour when I do an oil change, or I charge $40 to the customer, pay my technician 5/10. That's $80 an hour. So now I have 5 hours at $400. 10 oil changes, half an hour, 5 hours. Now I have a comeback. I did a water pump a week ago. It came back, not the customer's fault it's leaking, not my fault, not my technician's fault, the defective part. Those things happen. We're in this business. So now I pay my tech 3 hours with $0. Now, when I add all that together, I have a total of 33 hours. No, I'm sorry. 5 plus 22 plus 3, 30 hours. And we brought in $3,040 total. And so when I take $3,040 and I divide it by 30, it gives me an effective labor rate of $101.33. Now think about if we raised our oil change price by $10. Think about if we didn't do an oil change, we did an oil service, we could get a little more out of it. Or maybe we pay our tech 4/10 instead of 5/10, and it raises our labor rate. What if we didn't have any comebacks, right? So we were better, we bought better parts, and so we didn't have that comeback. What if we raised our normal labor rate by $5 an hour? Then we'd have at that point, we might have $113 labor rate. So for every hour, we made $12 more. And so effective labor rate, it's kind of the combination. A lot of shops that we work with today have multiple labor rates. So if you're working on a much older car, you might have a a $150 rate, when you're working on a normal car that comes in, let's say 10 years old, 8 years old, you're at $130 an hour. When you're doing sophisticated diagnosis, you might be at $180 an hour. And when you're doing your oil change or your service work, you might be at $100 an hour. And so it's the blend of all those things. I'm going to make it easy for you on the next slide. And so then my cost. Now I have to think about what I'm gonna pay, because 40% of my effective labor. I have $101 effective labor, and I can afford to pay 40%. And this is where I say you don't understand your cost, because I'm paying one of my techs $36 an hour, but I have a load. I have FICA and FUTA and workers' comp. We use a 30% multiplier. So what I'm actually paying at the end of the day is $46.80. So if I divide that by 0.4, 40%, it tells me I need to be $117 an hour in order to hold margin, right? So instead of having that 64% labor margin, now I've got a 54% labor margin, because I'm losing, $16 an hour because my effective labor rate is not right. Okay. And then I got to think about productivity, because if that tech is not productive, if we're not billing out his time or her time, and they're only doing 6 hours, but I'm paying them $36 an hour on the clock, I'm not getting 8 hours out of it. So if they're 80% productive, or 75% in this example, I take the 117, I divide it by 0.75, because 75% productivity. And now it tells me I need an effective labor rate of 156. Now, I may say to myself, holy smokes, I can't be 156. And that may be true. Instead, I have to increase productivity. So I need to work on the systems and processes, including estimating, that would help my people be more productive, because then it will bring in more per hour and lower the need for the effective labor so high. And again, I said I was going to make it easy. So before we get there, though, you need to understand another thing, and that is pricing is more flexible than most owners believe. We have been in shops. I've worked with shops for over 20 years, and I've been telling people, raise your labor rate. If you're a consultant in this business, I don't think you don't tell people raise your labor rate. I think it's one of the things. You walk in and you go, geez, we need some money, add $5 to your labor rate.
Especially with how inflation has just gone off the deep end.
I talked to an owner last night, and I said, when was the last time you raised your labor rate? And he said, it was 9 months ago. And I said, what was the cost of eggs 9 months ago? And he said, I don't know, $3 for 12. I said, what was the cost of eggs last night? It was $8. Well, not only that, does it cost me more money to be in business, but it costs my employees more money to eat and feed their families. And I need to raise my labor rate to keep up with that and in our industry. But price, I have taught, I don't know, thousands of classes and tens of thousands of people. And I can tell you that when I go in and I say, raise your labor rate, I always ask this question: how many of you have been in a class before? And, a lot of hands go up, and you say, okay, did you go home and raise your labor rate? Yeah, almost every hand that goes up stays up. And then you go, how many of you had a client or multiple clients that said, oh no, you're too expensive now? And all the hands go down, because it just doesn't happen very often. And if it does with one or two, but you raise your rate with the other 1,000, then who cares? It doesn't matter. You still make the money you need to make.
We have a few questions. I want to catch up on this because everyone is commenting. I love the engagement. Thank you, everybody. Love the comments.
Quick.
And I'll do first. So Douglas asked, how for a startup shop do you start pricing properly so you don't fall on your face?
I think you keep raising it until you're losing 5% of your clients, and they're literally telling you you're too expensive. So, if you're not comfortable with a $20 increase, go up $3, and then a month later, go up another $3 until you're getting real kickback, right?
And you should also be looking at what it costs you to do business.
Yeah, you got
a lot of shops run into this this mindset that I need to be looking at all of the shops around me, and that's probably maybe the last thing you should do. You should look at what it costs you to run your business and start building off of that.
It's funny too. We have in the same city, we'll have 3 shops that we work with. One will be struggling to get to $110 an hour and telling us that you can't do that in their city. I'll have somebody else at $150 and somebody at $135. And the 135 and the 150, they're fine. They don't have any arguments.
Yeah.
So the price is very flexible.
Yeah, and somebody just said, that's a good question. We don't want to lose the customers that we worked hard to get. And it also goes back to knowing what customers you want, right? So there's a difference between, are these the customers that you're keeping that you actually want? Are they in your preferred customer bucket? Or are they customers? Yeah, go ahead, Cecil.
And the question is, are they helping me to be profitable to reach my goal or not? And if the customer won't come along with you, in other words, right now, if I go to the grocery store and I say, I don't want to pay $8 for eggs, I just want to pay $3, they're going to tell me that I can go to the discount grocery store and I might pay $5, right? But I don't get the kind of service. It's not as clean. It doesn't look as good, smell as good. I'm not comfortable. I got to go somewhere else. There are reasons why I can charge more.
I want to address this because I've seen this posted around. A lot of people are saying, well, I spent $75 to get this customer to come in my door. That might be true, right? And that customer might be in. And so a lot of people are saying, well, I have to say yes because I spent $75. Well, if I spend $75, that customer comes in, but that customer is a discount oil change. They're not somebody who's going to buy any other service that I recommend, even though the vehicle needs it. Well, then why would I spend my time, energy, and effort on that customer when I can say, okay, I might not be the person for you. You cut that loss and make time for the people who will spend profitable dollars in your business. It goes beyond just getting them into the shop. They also have to be somebody who fits your market demographic.
I think. Go ahead. I was just going to shout Sky out. She's been on multiple of these webinars with you guys, and you've been preaching this since mid-year last year. And she said we just raised it on Jan 1, and they have yet to hear. They raised it by $24. So
and nobody cared. Nobody. And maybe you lost a customer who was a bottom feeder customer who wasn't helping you make any money. You don't have to keep that person. I spend $75 to bring one person in. I know that I'm only going to keep 1 out of 3 because only 1 out of 3 fits my mold, makes me profitable, helps me run my machine. I mean, the crappy gas down the street is 10 cents cheaper a gallon, but your car's going to run like crap. Do you go put it in there because it's 10 cents cheaper, right? No, you don't. You put the good gas in that you're confident so your car runs well. It's not a lot different than that. All right, I'm going to move, and we're going to hopefully have some time for questions at the end.
We'll do these questions at the end.
Hold on. Hold on to those. We'll get there. This is a labor rate calculator. We did this in another class. So if you go to this QR code, you can get this calculator. It's already hooked up there. I wasn't going to do this, and I don't have time to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So this is the way the calculator works. We put in whatever our effective labor rate is. We find our effective labor rate by putting in our labor sales dollars, and then we run a report on AutoLeap, and we say, how many hours did we bill out to customers? And in this shop, we billed out $36,987 worth of labor. That's what it was this month. And we billed out $392. Now, no matter what my posted rate is, my real rate, my effective labor is $94.35. And of course, we can change this. If we bring in $38,000 instead of $36,000, then my labor rate goes up to $99. If we have less hours but these dollars, my labor rate will go up. Up here, you then take your effective labor rate. You put in, you say I'm 99.46. Okay. And my highest paid tech is $30 an hour. Now, and that person produces 6 hours a day that I can bill instead of 8 hours a day. So they're 75% productive, which is kind of close to the industry average. So now it's going to tell me that what I can afford to pay, what my real cost is for this person is about $39 with FICA and FUTA and workers' comp. And I need an effective labor rate of at least $97.50 if this person was 100% productive. If I throw productivity in the mix, then down here, because he's 75% productive, I really need to have $130 effective labor rate. So either I've got to raise productivity and my effective labor rate can come down, or I have to move my effective labor rate up because my productivity is not as. So it's not just pricing. It can be managing your staff better and creating productivity. And based on what my effective labor rate really is, I can afford to pay out $34.81 loaded and $26.11. Now, if you want to pay your techs more money, fix their productivity, 90% productivity. At 90%, I can afford to pay out $26.11 higher. I don't need an effective labor as high as it was. Raise my effective labor rate, bring in more, price a little higher, $42,000. Now I can afford to pay my guy more money. And so, this calculator you can get. I didn't want to spend a lot of time here. I'm not gonna, but I wanted you to see it. And you can go there and you can get it. Now,
I love when you go rogue. He went
what's
rogue.
that?
I love.
He went
I said
rogue.
you went
Yeah.
rogue, and I love it.
Yeah, I went rogue. I always go rogue. All right, so now I need to understand what my hour's worth. And there's the formula. It is 1 plus effective labor rate. An hour equals your effective labor rate times 1 plus your parts over your labor. So I know I'm 134. I know I'm 45% parts and 55% labor. So it's 134 times 1 plus 45 over 55, or 134 times 1.82, or $234.88. That's what I'm worth. Now I take my 3 techs and I say, for an hour of my time with 3 techs, we should be billing out $731.64. That's 100%. And they're here 8 hours a day, so my shop should do $5,638 a day. And we're here 229 days because we're a 5-day-a-week shop, and we have holidays and vacation days and stuff like that. So that would be $1,334,000. That's what this business should do. Now I'm setting my goal for $1,334,000. That's my annual sales goal. And for each tech, it's $1,879 a day, $234.88 times 8 hours. It is $39,459 times 21 days, the daily times 21 per month, and it's $473,508 per tech per year. So I'm setting goals, and I'm gonna work with my techs and my process, my business, in order to help them be better. If they're not doing this now, okay, who cares? What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to fix today to increase this tomorrow to make our businesses successful? Well, you're going to be here. You're going to spend your 10 hours a day in your shop. You might as well fix it so that someday you can make the money you want and you can have the life you want, because that's why you started your business. So if my average repair order is worth $250 and I need $5,638 a day, then I need 22.6 cars. If my average repair is worth $550, which, by the way, if you're a general repair shop, this would be on the lower end, then I need 10 cars. My marketing is going to be different. My clientele may be different here. And you cannot manage people without goals. And so goals allow for effective management. Going as quick as I can. So if my sales goal is $1,300,000 and my gross profit needs to be 62%, then I should have $831,000 annually in gross profit dollars to pay my bills and have my net profit left over. And if I'm there 250 days, then I should be doing $3,324 in gross profit. That should say per day. Scratch it, put per day in there. And per hour, I should be doing $415.50 in gross profit dollars. Now, you have consultants all talking about gross profit dollars. You brought that guy in, you spent $75 to bring him in, you got to work with him. If you're not making margin, you're not making dollars. End of sentence. Margin is what creates dollars. You pay your bills with dollars, but you get bills by making margin, profit. So now I have a goal of doing $415.50 in gross profit dollars. Per tech, it's $138.50 per technician per hour in my shop. And be cautious about this. Keep going. Decide the kind of clients you want to work with. Do you want to do $19, $29, $10 oil changes and bring worn out junk into your shop? That's going to take you more time. It's going to create low productivity. It's going to create high frustration. lots of rust, etc. And you want to bring bottom feeders customers in that are going to make you crazy? Or do you want to bring in customers that want great service and a really good product, which are better clients that will spend more money? Which one do you want? Do you want the kiss a lot of frogs model, where I'm going to kiss a lot of frogs, but there's only going to be a few princes or princesses? Or do you want the better client model? And pricing helps define your clients. You want to build your price up to where the bottom feeder customer literally does not call you, because you can't make money on them. You don't want to spend your time with them. If we put our energy on the 80% of the population that fits the model we want and built our marketing around that, and we brought a better customer in, we would have a better business. So decide the kind of client you want. And there's another poll for us. Which model are you running today? Are you the kiss a lot of frogs model? Are you the bring in the right client model? And by the way, the shops that we have that are higher priced, have higher average repair orders, they are not only more profitable, but they are more consistently busy, because the client that wants service out of you wants a good product. Once they find you, they will keep coming back. The discount guy will come in, get the discount, and unless you severely impress them, they are not going to stay. They're going to find the next discount and the next discount. They are not as loyal as the priced, the higher priced, do it really well for me model.
This is where we see this mentality of, because I'm busy, I'm a successful shop. Busy does not mean success. Busy means you're busy.
Or chaotic. Yeah.
Or chaotic, or stressed, or high turnover rate for technicians. You can't keep good talent. I mean, it just...
There's such an argument in the industry about technicians not getting paid enough, and there's a shortage of technicians. And the fact is, we bring these people in, we throw them into the discount kiss a lot of frogs model. They are frustrated. They can't stay steady on one car. They can't learn other things, and then they leave the industry. They can't make enough money.
The most recent poll that we saw, what was it? 175,000 techs came into the industry. This was in 2021, and we lost 70. It was something like 72 or 73% of them in the first year.
Because the environment, because of what they get paid, because of the stress, and the owner's stressed in the kiss a lot of frogs model. The owner's stressed. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's a different model, and you have to be wholly focused. You're not going to have the best techs. They're not going to be the happiest. They're not going to stay there as long as the other model will stay. There's all kinds of things about which model you want to run in your business.
I'm surprised at how many selected kiss a lot of frogs.
Well, I'm gonna launch another one, because that was, what are you running today? I want to know, what are you running today?
Okay.
Yeah. So
now, what do you want
to be?
Busy does not equal profit.
We had about 16% of the attendees running a kiss a lot of frogs.
Yeah.
Now, I'm also curious if those are shops that don't take appointments, right? They're just walk-ins only. So
walk-ins or waiters. Most of my shops don't. They're scheduling, and they don't have a lot of waiters. Or if any.
I'm glad to see. Yeah. 100% want to bring in the right clients. So
wonderful. Round of applause for everybody.
Let us know how we can help you. Both AutoLeap and us are here to help you. All right, we're moving. We're moving. We got a couple more slides. So you got to figure it out, and then you build your marketing and your brand accordingly, and you consistently market to the customers that match what you want to be. Now, you can run a $10 oil change. It will fill your base. There'll be lots of people. You'll be very busy. At the end of the day, you'll be stressed. There won't be any money in the bank. You can run the other model. You probably won't be quite as busy until you build a good customer base, but you will make plenty of money, more money, and you will have a much better life. So, and then it's all about exceptional service. You have to deliver exceptional service in that model. You can't have a greasy, nasty bathroom where customers might go. You can't have, greasy fingerprints on the car. You can't use cheap parts. You can't have unhappy people at the counter that don't smile at the customer and say, thank you for being here. And how can I help you today? What can I do for you? Sales training. All right. So I want efficiency. Efficiency kills me. And so we have processes, and we're not going to go into these because we don't have time, but I put them kind of in order. We have a phone sales process. When someone calls, we answer the phone in a specific way. We talk to them a specific way. We deal with price questions in a very specific way. We have a process. How we price initially, what we price initially on the phone matters. It will create efficiency or it will create inefficiency in your business. Then we go to scheduling. How do we schedule? Are we scheduling properly? Bringing cars in at the right time? Are we allowing those cars to be here long enough? Are we planning that? So you need a good scheduling process. And then you need a good dispatch process. A lot of shops, I walk in, there's 15 work orders on the service advisor's counter, and we have technicians standing out there, but the service advisor is unaware because they're estimating, and they're not dispatching these cars in a timely way to keep the guys busy and working. We need a good dispatch process. We need a good tech estimating process. Too much time is spent with service advisors leaving the front counter and going out to the shop to talk to the technician about what's needed, instead of having a good process that gives that information to the service advisor so he or she does not have to go out in the shop and spend 10 minutes talking to the technician. We need a good service advisor estimating, so everything's in the right order, it's in the right way, it guarantees our profit, and it helps us sell the ticket. We need good sales process. How do I deal with their price objections? How do I handle this? How do I deal with somebody on the phone that says, I just need to know how much for a water pump? What do I say? What do I do? How do I think? So we need good sales processes. And then anything that is keeping us from, our technicians from being productive, management needs to focus on that and build that up and help that work efficiently. And the more efficient your shop runs, if you're paying hourly or salary, the more you will make. If you're not, and you're paying flat rate and your shop's inefficient, then you have a bunch of unhappy technicians because they're not making money, because they're not able to bill enough hours a day. The flat rate model with inefficiency is worse, frankly, for the technicians and for our industry. So those matter a ton. All right, now we can get to those other 23 questions. By the way, before we get there, there's the QR code we had before. You can get the labor rate calculator. You can get the PowerPoint today. And we at our company will do a complimentary, no charge business analysis for you. All you have to do is hook up with our business analysis guy, who's actually
Analyst.
Our analyst, and we will not drive you crazy. We will not call you 53 times or
we're here to help.
How we do.
We're here to help the industry. This business assessment gives you kind of a stopgap to say, this is how you guys are performing now. Here's some opportunity on the table, and allows it, and we'll give you some action items you can take and start to make some big changes in your business. I mean, just to see that Sky has made some changes just in these webinars is really nice to. I'm not wasting my time. That's why I get up in the morning.
So what are the questions? Let's get to some questions.
Hang on. Let me just remind, this is recorded. Everyone will get access to tomorrow once I get the rendering. So Kevin, to answer you, yes, it's being recorded. You will get this tomorrow. Go ahead. We need Sean. We need to answer Sean first, because it came in. So how do we market research within auto industry or the city we live in?
Well, first of all, you would do some demographic research. So you have demographic and psychographic. We did a marketing webinar a couple days ago. Lex, our marketing person, which is amazing. Frankly, I was amazed myself. We will have that on our YouTube channel. You should watch it. We have some free things, but you're going to do a demographic research. What is the average income? Where are the people that I want to do business with? Where do they live? And you're going to drive around, frankly. You're going to see the kind of cars there are. You might be like here in Ogden, we have a lot of Subarus because we have a lot of people that like hiking and camping and stuff like that. And so it's a great place to have a Subaru business, where you focus on Subarus, and Subaru clients are great clients. So you're going to drive around, you're going to look, you're going to think to yourself, where are the kind of customers that I want to work with? So you're going to work with your website, your SEO company, to focus on areas and businesses that where they would go. So I don't want to go to the discount grocery store and market there. I'm not going to put my ad on the back of their receipts because those are not the people I want. I'm going to go to the golf course, and I'm going to market on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays because lawyers and doctors and et cetera playing golf on the course on those days. I'm going to go to the high-end restaurant. I'm going to geofence that. I'm going to run some ads around that. I'm going to identify my customers on Facebook. I'm going to look at what the keywords are on Google. Whoever's doing my SEO, SEM, they're going to say, this is how people are searching in your neighborhood for these kinds of services. So my advertising is more, I want BMW as one of my keywords, because when someone says, who owns a BMW says, I want someone that can service my BMW, that's a better client than someone that owns a BMW that just says, I want a mechanic. And even though mechanic is the lead search term, I wouldn't mind if the guy said, I want a BMW mechanic, right? And so, hopefully you're talking to marketing people and you're aware of the things you need to look at. We have lots of education in those areas. And if you don't like us, there are other companies that have lots of education in those areas.
I saw something the other day. Was it Ferrari or Lamborghini? They don't market on the TV because that's not where their customers, they don't watch TV, right? They know their customer base. So they never put anything on ads on TV. So it's knowing your customer base. I know we're running low on time. This will not cut out right at the hour. So Cecil, I don't know if you guys have a hard
I can stay as long as you'll allow.
Yeah, we've got time.
Well,
a few more questions.
My time is your time. So I don't know if you want to go to the next question.
We can totally go to the next question. I want to just bring this back. I've been keeping track here. So Charlotte asked near the beginning, how do you avoid being undercut?
Mm-hmm. You deliver a better product and you know how to talk to the potential customer to build value over and around the other person.
Again, when you're setting your pricing and you're looking at, we just talked a lot about pricing. When you're setting your pricing, that gives you the resources to provide better service. You can hire better technicians. You can hire better service advisors. You can spend more time with the customers. You slow things down. That's how you start to build quality and then be able to charge what you need to charge.
And also, I think you have to understand that the person that's asking price questions is not necessarily looking for a cheap job. The person that's asking price question is looking for you to build value in your product. Why should you come here and pay a little more than you might somewhere else? Well, first of all, the person is here, so it's convenient. And they came here because they thought that you could take care of their problem. So how are you going to do that in such a way that it makes it worth it? Do you have a better warranty? Do you use a better, higher quality part? Do they have a better experience with you? Do you have loaner cars? There are numerous things. You build what we call a unique selling proposition. I have 10 reasons why you should do business with me as opposed to a guy down the street. I have all the equipment. Now that's a feature. It's not a benefit. My people really know and understand BMW. If you bring your BMW here, what that means is they're going to be able to find the problem faster, and they're going to more consistently fix the correct problem. So you're not going to waste money, and you're going to save money here. Even though you might pay a little more for that particular service, we're not putting parts on your car that aren't going to fix your problem. There's all kinds of things that you can do. Come to one of my sales classes. We'll feed you with a bunch of stuff in order to create value for your client and avoid. Yep. And by the way, if that person is, when I ask you 5 or 6 questions on the phone and I understand that all you care about is low price, I send you to the lowest price shop in town, because you're not going to be happy with me because I'm not the lowest price. And you're going to be, at the end, you're going to be upset because you paid more, even though we gave you more, because you don't understand, that isn't value to you. So I might as well send you to that guy and let you put him out of business faster. Right.
And the benefit there is you still solve their problem.
Yes.
Next question. by Kevin Bullard.
Kevin,
hello, brother.
Might be
That's
related.
why I asked you. Do you see why I asked you if you have a brother
I
named
know.
Kevin?
Yeah, I saw that.
2 and 2.
So he asked, you're charging $40 for labor
Oil
for an
change.
oil change with a lot of question marks.
No, some shops are. I don't. We didn't do oil changes in my shop when I had my last shop. Now that's 12 years ago when I ran and
You
owned
guys are much better looking.
jobs.
Thank you, Kevin.
Even back then, we had $165 minor service. We were, we didn't have it. I've never run a $29 or a $49 or a $59 oil change. Never in my entire life running in this business of owning shops and running shops have I ever done that. But we see it every day. The guy I was talking to last night, who's a new client for us, small business, he's got a $40, his oil change is $79 and $40 is the labor on that. And by the way, he's losing money at $79. And so we're trying to help him understand why he can't have a $79 oil change. He's got to do something different.
You build it into a more valuable service. So it's not just an oil change, but you look at a couple other things with an inspection, and that's what you sell to the customer. There's more value in that.
Yeah, please don't think I'm telling you to have a $40 oil change, because I am absolutely the opposite of that. You got to build value. You have to have, you don't even want to have, frankly, an oil change. You want to have a service that cannot be compared with the local oil change people that are telling online that they can do a $49 oil change for somebody.
Yeah,
and put good oil and a quality filter in that car.
All right, next question, Damaris. How about if you work with body shops where insurance companies pay less than what you can charge a regular customer? This is, I think, back when we were talking about effective labor rate.
Yeah.
I think the answer is stop. Build your business somewhere else. I mean, a lot of people, when they start, they work for body shops or they work for the used car lot down the street. And the used car guy, all he wants you to do is throw pads on the car, and he doesn't want you to charge him for parts. And he only wants you to make 10% on parts. And, to start your business out, you might start there, but there's a point in your business where you need to mature it and get away from that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if the bulk of your business is built on body shops that are only going to pay you $59 an hour, you're probably in trouble. And oh, by the way, just so you know, when a body shop bills out non-body repairs to the insurance company, they're not held to the $69 labor rate. They can go to $130, $140. The insurance company is not holding the line on those repairs. So if your body shop is paying you, $59 for labor when you're doing non-body repairs,
they're making the difference.
They're probably making the difference.
Yeah. Next question.
Dan Nelson, can you offset customer parts with very high labor rate for one-off scenarios? This is going back to customer.
The answer is it's not a good practice to have, but we have some shops that are doing like exhaust kits or something like that, where you'd be buying this kit online and you have huge competition for that. And there's just no margin in it. So you might, under that circumstance, instead of messing with it and getting the kit, you might let your customer get it and raise your labor rate to compensate. But that should be it shouldn't happen very often. It should not be policy. Letting customers bring their own parts is a bad idea. If you go to court, even though you wrote on the work order, there's no warranty, the customer supplied the part. If the part fails and that person takes you to court, in every state that I know of, the judge is going to rule in the favor of the customer because you are the professional. That'd be like me taking a heart into the doctor. I know it's a crazy thing and saying, put this heart in me. I'm bringing my own heart. And then the heart fails and my wife sues the doctor because the heart failed. It's my heart. But by the way, if my wife sued that doctor that allowed me to bring my own heart, she would win, right? And
malpractice.
That's the way it is in court. You are the professional, according to the judge, letting customers bring their own parts. There's no margin. If your insurance company, that is your liability insurance, if they find out you're allowing customers to bring in parts with no provenance, we don't know the quality, we don't know where the part came from, they may cancel your insurance or raise your insurance rates because they're going to have more risk. So it's just not a good idea as a policy. As a one-off, occasionally, maybe, but mostly no. More
Okay. How
questions?
much time do we have, Amber?
I mean, there are
Go for
still
another
people.
5
minutes.
minutes.
There's
Let's do-
still people. It does not cut us off, thank goodness. So I
Yep.
think as long as they stay and it's recorded, they can get the recording after if they're no
Wonderful.
longer there.
Cool. Let's
So
ask
another question from Sebastian. My shop cost me $10,000 a month in with about another $10,000 in salary, and we always almost short. My point is, whoever comes in, we have to take care because of high expenses. How do you play with that?
Well, I think number one, raise your labor rate to start. If you're almost always short, raise your labor rate. If you're almost always short car count, then you need some marketing. How is your website? What's your SEO, SEM? Who are you attracting? How often is your phone ringing? How many of those are you converting to appointments? We work with a lot of smaller businesses. A couple of years ago, we decided, look, there's so many companies working with these big companies. We have guys that have 30 shops that we work with, but we put a product together, work with some smaller businesses to help them to go from, I don't know, 400,000 to 600,000 to 800,000. And it's a multi-pronged approach. So let's look at your pricing. Where can we make progress and create a little more profit? If we spend that profit on marketing, but that marketing's effective, and we start bringing in more customers, get more market share, build our marketing database, then a year from now, we have more consistency in our business and we have more customers in our database. And so now we can let go of some of the ones who don't want to pay, the ones who are going to fight us all the time. And so it's a combination of things that we would do. I would tell you, most likely I walk in your door, I'm going to tell you to raise your labor rate. We have a video, 5 ways to increase profit in your company. I think it's 15, 20 minutes on our YouTube. And you can get us that through wearetheinstitute.com. It's free. It's got a 12-page workbook with it that you can, it's a great thing.
It's a course that was designed to help you increase your profits in 5 simple steps. The last 2 are a little more complicated, but it's a whole course and a workbook with everything detailed out for you guys. And you can find that at wearetheinstitute.com on our course platform, and it's totally free.
And remember that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing week by week, month by month, and expecting to get a different result.
Yeah. So just to touch on Sebastian, Sebastian, listen to everyone in the chat. You need to raise your labor rate. Yeah.
I think so. I want to make one note. Somebody asked, and now I cannot find it because there's so many, about a specific webinar topic with you guys about the right customer, getting the right customers and car count. I wanted to say on April 13th, you guys are back for how to bring in great clients and increasing car count. So that would.
No, we should bring Lex in on that one.
Yes, we should.
So we'll have that. So just so you guys know, I cannot find the comment now on who requested it, but it is there. And we will have that.
Obviously, we don't have time to cover every topic that we need to. And so we'll be doing other webinars. And we also have a lot of free resources on our site.
I can't believe the amount of engagement, just overwhelming. Thank you guys for asking all these questions and seeking to better your businesses.
And I think too, there's a lot. So I get the report of these questions. So if we're okay with it, if you guys are okay with it, let's take a step back, look at the questions. If we haven't answered any, I'm going to offer that you guys reach out to the attendees that asked questions that we were not able to answer. And we will get those answered for you guys, because again, as I mentioned, this is for you, and we want to make sure that you guys are able to run your business and get the answers that you need. And really, this is why we bring in the Institute, so that you guys can have access to resources to grow your business. So Charlotte, that date is April 13th that we will have that. If you give me to the end of the month, AutoLeap's website will have all of our upcoming webinars and the dates, and you will be able to register up front. So I've been actively working on that. So you will get that, more to come. And
poor Sebastian.
Let's take 2 more questions and then we'll call it a day.
I love that. Well,
okay. So
Are you following the questions? Because
I'm trying my best here. Heather had a question. I made a lot of changes through these webinars. I do not understand the parts margin. We run about 30 to 32% consistently. What should the part margin look like? You mentioned 58%.
Yeah, I would say our average business that we work with is probably around 54%. The target is 58. When we walk into new businesses, we often see a 38 or a 42. It's because of multiple things. Number one, if you are selling like low priced oil changes to get people in, or you're doing things like that, you are going to have a lower parts margin. If you are emotionally attached to pricing, I buy a part from the dealer, I get 25% off. It's a $50 part. The dealer says I can sell it for 60, and you're going to sell it for 60, then you're never going to make parts margin. You have to sell it for more. And there's a lot of reasons to do that, which is another seminar.
Most of what affects this is emotion. It's just coming in and not charging what you should charge. And if you guys talk to your AutoLeap rep, okay, and they will help you set it in the system so that you can take emotion out of the equation.
Yeah, if you have a matrix,
and the best part I was about to say is soon enough we will be integrating with the Institute, so all of the data will just be filtering back and forth, so we can help you out with
dog.
Sorry, I just said that.
And it is, it's great. The emotional aspects of, wow, that part's expensive. It's like if you walked into the grocery store and the gal at the counter that was checking you out, or the guy at the counter was checking you out, looked at the $8 eggs and said, well, those are expensive. I'm going to sell them to you for $5 because they're expensive. That doesn't happen at the grocery store because they don't have the ability to do that. It's a bar scan, price is there. They can't go in and change it. So they have to call a manager over if they want to change price. So they don't do it. Unfortunately, in a shop, you look at the price and you say, wow, it's $8 for eggs. That's insane. So I'll mark them down to $6 to make them feel comfortable. And in fact, they should still be $8, right?
So go ahead. Just to put this in perspective. So Cody said, for the last 5 years, we've run consistently at 31 to 34% parts margin for 5 years. To know that 58%, that's a long way off. Well, what is that 20, let's say 15%, maybe 20%. What's that 20% gap over 5 years, right? So if you're thinking roughly 45 and 55% parts and labor, and you're not quite hitting those margins, how much money have you left on the table?
The average shop, it's probably somewhere between
giant
60 and $120,000.
It's amazing. I mean, so just by increasing your parts matrix, you can get your shop a huge influx of revenue.
And when we talked about like the estimating process, that's why an estimating process is important. That's why a matrix is important, because then it creates that this is what it is. There's not the leeway necessarily to go in and go, wow, that part's too expensive. I don't want to charge the customer that. They may not love me. Well, I've charged a lot of people a lot of money over my lifetime, and most of them love me. Some of them don't, but most of them do, because we gave them what they needed and what they expected.
I hate to say this, Cody, but it's probably much higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you think, let's say I sold $300,000 worth of parts and I was down by 20%, that's $60,000 a year over 5 years. That's $300,000 in 5 years that I don't have.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's too many shops that are in the low 40s and high 30s because they don't know how to price themselves, and they don't know how to deal with that price question with the customer. And that's where, a good class, a good coach, can help you with that.
I don't know if we've answered this one. We kind of have. That's what the whole thing. How do you find a good starting rate? You would look. So I am never at a point where I want to compare myself to the neighbors and say, what are they? If I had to, I'd probably look at the dealership, and I would say, what's the dealership really? And then I understand that the dealership, they say they're 160, but they use a matrix on their labor, so they're really probably 280 or something. Mm-hmm. And so when they tell me 160, I might, if I wanted to be lower, I might be 150, but for me, I'd probably be 170, be higher than the dealer, because sometimes pricing also creates value for the right customers. So,
you also have to understand, if I have to pay that technician $32 an hour to get a good tech, and then I have my load, we kind of went through that math, I probably have to be $120 an hour effectively, which means I probably have to be $135 posted in order to be $125 effectively. So, if you understand your cost, I don't think the marketplace really matters. In my entire life, of all the shops that I've worked with, I've only had 2 shops that were literally in a spot where I didn't think they could be successful. The other 1,200, it was they just didn't know how to price themselves or how to explain to their customers why that was worth doing.
Yeah. So Cody asks, so how does this fit in the dynamic of like Napa offering parts that people can easily know the price of, and then they put suggested margin on it already?
Well, again, I've been dealing with this for the 43 years I've been in business. I mean, Napa sold parts 43 years ago, and my customers could walk in the door and pay less than they would pay at my shop. The Napa part comes with only the part. It may have a 1-year warranty or something like that, but if it's installed correctly, then there's no warranty. Electric parts don't have high warranty. I give my customers a 3 or 36,000 mile warranty. I guarantee that it's going to fix their problem. Think about this. I can go to the grocery store and buy a pretty good steak for about $13. If I go to Longhorn Steakhouse, which is right here, it's going to cost me about $36. Now it's going to come with a baked potato, and it's going to be served at my plate. I'm not going to have to do dishes. If I burn my steak, I got to eat it. If they burn my steak, they make me another one. It's about my part comes with so much more for that customer, and I don't want the do it yourself customer that's going to go in and get their own part. I want the do it for me customer that says, I don't have time to deal with that. I want someone I can trust to buy the part, mark it up fairly, and put it on my car and guarantee my car runs well.
Yeah,
and there's
I think you
plenty.
Oh, sorry. I think you make such great points, especially with the eggs, right? We are so tied to our businesses that it's the 1-minute manager model, right? You have to take the emotion out of this. There's so much emotion tied to changing rates because you think you're going to fail, or the fear of losing X customers. That is 99% of our fears actually don't come true. Realistically,
yes, that's true.
They don't come true. So just try it, see what happens. My husband used to be a regional manager for mattress firm. Do you know the upsell on those mattresses?
Oh, it's
when
ridiculous.
You really think about those types, it's the same business model, right? Why aren't you charging what you deserve to charge for? Because if you need a bed, just like these people need their cars repaired, you are going to buy it, right? Because you need it. Their cars need it. So charge what you deserve and take the emotion out of it. It is easier said than done, but it is the 1-minute manager, and you have to take your step away. You have to step away and just do it.
It's also about the perception of the client.
Exactly.
So there is a mattress place that says they sell $200 mattresses. But when I drive by and I see the guy with the mattress sign, my thought is that's not a mattress I want to sleep on.
Exactly.
Right? And so I want to go to a mattress firm, or I want to go to a Sleep Number
Sleepies.
or whatever.
I got a purple.
I'm going to pay a lot more, but I know that, right?
I did love when my husband worked at mattress firm. It was also when I was pregnant, so I got some really good beds. The same thing. You're running a business.
It's a good thing to say, Jeff. We're not a nonprofit. In fact, not only that, but you guys aren't selling something that is, I'm trying to think of an example of something you could buy that isn't necessary. You guys provide freedom. You fix vehicles so people can travel, go to work, live their lives. I mean, you are what did they call it during COVID? Essential. You're
essential business.
It's essential. And so it's necessary that you do your job and that you guys get paid for it, because what you provide is of value. And it's not a huggy blanket that you can buy from some online store. It's something that serves a much higher purpose for people in their lives.
Let me tell a short story, and then we'll call it a day. I have a client. When we started working with them, they were probably 41% on their parts margin, and they were probably $50 lower on their labor rate. Now, over the course of a couple of years, we helped them with that, and they moved up. They were very profitable. He had an account that he worked with that spent about $150,000 with him a year. The guy was an airporter, so they drove over the mountain, took people to the airport in San Jose, and then they drove back over the mountain, and so he worked on one of their vans, and the tech forgot to put the oil cap on. So when they went over the mountain, it built up pressure, it spewed oil, it smoked, and those customers didn't get to the airport on time. They had to bring another van, towed the van in, put the oil cap on, had it detailed, and, apologized to the guy, gave him his van back. 2 weeks later, the transmission went out on that van. Now, the van had 180,000 miles on it, and it wasn't their fault. Nothing they did wrong or nothing they did on the car had anything to do with the transmission. Now, here's a guy that makes $300,000 a year out of his shop. He's got plenty of money in the bank. He works how he wants to work as far as time, because he charges right, he builds the right clients, etc. Comes to me and he says, Cecil, it's a good account. What should I do? I told him, I said, buy him a transmission, put it in it, no charge. Now, by the way, if he was the guy 2 years before that wasn't making any money, and I told him to buy a customer a transmission, he couldn't do it. He didn't have the money. It would have put so much stress on him. He bought the customer transmission, and now every time this guy takes someone over the mountain, he tells them how great a shop he is, and he drives customers into their business over and over and over. I'm not telling you to buy the customer transmission when it's not your fault. We do too much of that in our business. What I'm telling you is, if you have no money and no profit, and you're always worried about making it to the end of the month, at the end of the week, or making payroll, you live a very stressful life, and the other people around you are stressed, and your business is stressed. If you charge a little more, if you fix your margin, if you bring in a little better customer, if you learn how to sell, you have a much more successful business. There'll be more money in the bank. It will bring your blood pressure down. It will make you live longer. It will help the people around you. It's a different life when you're not worried about, are we going to have enough cars? Are we going to have enough money to make it to the end of the month?
You have to make sure your bucket's full.
Yeah. Get out of the fight or flight.
It's about running your business right. And the things you're learning here, we have a lot of free content. Obviously, we'd love you as a client, but you know what? If you just take some of these things and get better and come to the next one, I'm good with that.
These webinars and this content is great to get your shop moving in the right direction. If you guys want to hit, the ground running and really get a jump start, I would recommend getting that business assessment. It gives you some actionable steps that are pointed to your business specifically. We look at some performance metrics there. Just follow up with us. If you end up joining one of our programs, great. We see a lot of success in all of our programs, from coaching to our peer groups, both for owners, advisors, and managers. We recommend you guys check that out, and very excited to see where you guys end up. It's really cool to see how Sky's made some changes, and I can't wait to see the ones who've just popped in first time here down the road. I want to see those changes too. So
thank you for your time today, AutoLeap. Thank you so much for what you do for our automotive community, and that's I'm done.
Well, thank you. Are you sure? Can I have the microphone back? No, I'm just joking. Thank you guys for joining. We do this every month, and Cecil and Kent at the Institute are running webinars as well. It is a resource, like you said, for you to better your business, and we're here to do that. So make sure to join in next month. Thank you guys for staying in. Maybe we need to think about the time on these next time.
Yeah, these ones maybe ought to be 20 minutes longer.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. You will get a recording tomorrow, and don't forget that the survey will pop up. I will send you a $20 Amazon gift card for your feedback. So thank you very much.
Sebastian, if you guys want to know how to work with us, email myself or my dad. You can see Cecil and Kent at wearetheinstitute.com. You can find us at wearetheinstitute.com. And if you really do want to fill out that survey, I know Amber will get you in contact with us.
I will. And Dan, I'm always efficient with my time, just not this time.
Not always, just most.
Not efficient, but
not when it comes with the Institute.
Listen, I know we're about to be together at the end of the month at the Institute's first ever summit, which I am so excited. So more to come. If you are not joining, I don't know if registration is closed.
It is closed at this point.
Unfortunately.
Closed, but there will be one next year. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I love all the party and hearts. That's a first. Keep those coming. All right.
Love
Bye,
it.
guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.